Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this afternoon as we have a session called Staying Ahead. So I'm Antony Elliot, Regional Vice President for EMEA North at Talend, and I'm joined up on stage today by Monty. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Monty. I work for Stongegate Pub Company, and I'm the head of data and BI integration systems.
And then last but not least, we've got Paul from Datalytyx.
Yes, so I'm Paul Headey. I'm the sales director at Datalytyx, and obviously you have the go-to-market strategy for Datalytyx, of which a big part of that is working with Talend and Snowflake.
So during the session today, we're going to try and have it a bit more free-form, no death by PowerPoint, which I'm sure people will be happy with, and just an open conversation. So what I'm going to do is ask some questions, and then we'll have a chat, and then if at the end we've got any time, we'll open up for questions from the audience. So I just want to start off with maybe Monty. So you first started engaging with Datalytyx and Talend way back when there was no such thing as face masks and COVID, and you'd identified a problem inside your business. So why don't you tell people here a little bit about the problem that you originally found in the days before COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, going back to the end of 2019, early 2020, you know, we knew that we had a merger. So we were going to be merging with another pub company, and we knew that data was going to be important here because the culture at Stonegate has always been data and facts make good decisions, and, you know, working in the finance team historically has meant that that's always been the culture. So we knew that the solution at the time was not fit for purpose, and we had lots more data coming our way. And one of the key things for us was we were not in control of our data. We knew there was lots out there, but what we wanted to do is bring data in-house, be more control of it, and create a data culture within Stonegate, really. So that was the key that we were trying to achieve.
So it's a common start. You realise you get lots more data coming in, that your data isn't, the current solution isn't fit for purpose. So you think you need to go and solve the problem. You go and ask finance, which you're part of, hey, can I go and have some money? They go, why? So how did you work out what the value would be to the business of solving this problem?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing was we did a data discovery to work out, you know, it's not all about, this wasn't an IT-led project, it was a finance-led project. We spoke to all the teams, you know, marketing, the commercial team, the property team, to understand what data sources do you guys need, because the natural requests came to us in the finance function. So we did that discovery, which was key for us. And then as a result, we worked out, okay, we need to have an in-house solution. We need to, you know, create and, you know, have a team in-house, you know, data engineer, data scientist to go and build this. And you know, we put the presentation across to the board. You know, lockdown also came, and but even then, they persisted to back us because they knew that the value that we would add by bringing data in-house would, you know, reap the rewards at a later date. And we'll go on to that in a little while.
Sure. So your company's already wanting to move towards data literacy. You're trying to help create data democratization. So then you've got the backing. How did then Datalytyx and Talend come to you? How did you then decide, right, these are the people I want to move forward and build a solution?
So yeah, absolutely. We did our market research, and, you know, and that's where we sort of put our proposition out there. This is what we want to achieve. We met Datalytyx, and the key for us was we were close to the business, so we knew what the output was, we knew what the data sources were, and Datalytyx came in and, you know, put the pieces together and helped us deliver, and this is where we are today, really.
Okay. So, Paul, your team turn up day one. Was that pre-lockdown or post-lockdown?
It's pre-lockdown.
Yeah, okay, so in a happy world, you actually can turn up on site, see the people you're working with. How did you then kind of rationalise the vision that Stonegate had into a practical solution and move forward?
So their current solution was a bit of a black box. It was a SaaS product, so we had no entity relationship diagrams. We no idea how this data was put together. So we had to work it out for ourselves with Monty's help. So we kind of reverse engineered the whole solution and then started to give them like-for-like reports, but on their own platform. We brought Snowflake into the conversation, which they were a bit wary of at first. Didn't realise they needed it, but now I think they're pretty much sold on it.
That's brilliant, yeah.
So we started reverse engineering it. We agreed a scope, a set of requirements, and then right in the middle of that, COVID happened, and the reports that we were developing were not necessarily going to fit the typical reporting in retail, hospitality space, which is like-for-like sales on the same week in previous years, because there were going to be no weeks for the previous year because they had been told to shut down. So we had this kind of war room meeting about we need to change this project. And Monty's team went away to think about what they really needed to do, and then they brought the problem back to us, and we engineered the direction to solve the problem and give them the insights they were looking for to navigate their way back once lockdown had stopped happening.
So that's probably the next bit. So COVID strikes, right? Many businesses find themselves having to change and adapt to the new dynamic environment. No more so than pubs, right?
Yep.
Massively impacted industry. So how did that, you got the war room. What were you being told from your senior management? What became your real driving force then?
Well, we were learning every week. As you can imagine, as Paul mentioned, we're used to reporting on the previous year. That was no longer a thing. So we needed agility. We were learning week on week. Some pubs were allowed to open for 10 hours a day. Some were allowed to be open for 6 hours a day. So we had to really focus and change our strategy literally week on week to say, okay, we're going to report like this. Hence, we needed different, data being presented to us in a different way. And bear in mind, at this time, we still didn't have a lot of data capability in the team. We had the drive to go and we had all the ideas of we want to go deliver X, Y, and Z. But the key for us was working with Datalytyx and using Snowflake, which was agile enough to give us what we needed, really. But we were learning every day, and it had to change every time.
So you're then able to take the data, the old historic data, bring in new data sources, and it must have been like a meeting of minds, right? Because you guys come to a problem and go, right, we want to understand which pubs should we open, right?
Yeah.
We've got limited resources. So how did you tackle that problem together?
I think we worked out we needed to show deeper insight by pub, by profitability, based on bringing in the labour costs as well as the sales data, and give the Stonegate team insight on which products we're selling, and that gave them the visibility to be able to, as you say, see which venue was going to work in a world of social distancing, no people at the bar, less covers in the restaurant, just because of all of this. And it gave them the insight to figure out which pubs to keep open, which ones to probably mothball and dispose, and where to put their labour force without having to rely on too much agency, employees. Yeah. So I think that's what, if they hadn't have done it, I'd dread to think where they'd be now.
Totally agree. But one thing I want to add is we were also going through a merger where we acquired another 3,000 pubs, and it wasn't easy. So the board also set the expectation of reporting on all 4,000 pubs. So historically, prior to lockdown, Stonegate were 1,000 pubs, and now we've got 4,000. So in that time, within 2 or 3 months, we managed to quickly ingest. I'm talking 14, 15 databases, and the reporting output was one. We could then, July the 4th, I clearly remember it, when we opened the pubs up the first time round, we were reporting for 4,000 pubs in one go, which was, absolutely incredible. We were so, really proud of that.
So one group of people went down the pub on the 4th of July. So literally overnight, you increase your databases by 15. You've got, suddenly 3 times as many pubs as you had when you started off with. You're trying to decide which ones to open up. How did that change your relationship with the senior management? So now you've got data, lots of different data sets. Your Datalytyx, ingesting it through Talend and getting to Snowflake. You now understand, right, we've got all these different data points. You're trying to pull it all together. You're trying to give insights. How did that change your relationship?
Well, it changed massively. I mean, it helped the case for us to, since then, we've in-house recruited a data engineer, data scientist, and we're more of a data function than just out-and-out finance. So where there would have been 90% of financial analysts, it's probably 60-40 right now. So, the senior management back us in terms of creating a data awareness and data structure in the business, really.
And then maybe for you, Paul, so you guys started off with building this roadmap of what you're going to do. It's all just great, exciting world, right? Then it all changes, and now you're starting to get more and more demands on the data. You know, Monty and his team are changing their dynamic of how they're thinking and operating. How do you guys respond to that? How are you able to be agile in providing different data sets and problem solving?
So yeah, so this is quite interesting for us. We've always had agile methodologies. So we in our software teams we're doing a lot of DevOps, and we kind of brought those methodologies into data, now known as data ops. So we're essentially accepting change readily because they were learning on what they needed to know, and we had to be very receptive to what we thought we were doing today, which was agreed yesterday, might not necessarily be what we were doing. So we had a very open mind, and I think one of the things that we did up front is we ingested as much data as we could, whether we needed it or not, so it was available to us to build the insights that they were looking for. So yeah, so we took a very agile approach to the process.
So some of my team reminded me earlier today, actually, I used to be a management accountant for my sins, so I spent my time in PowerPoints and spreadsheets. You must have found the difference in change, right, to what you're being asked to do. So your finance, you're typically seen as a cost center, right?
Yep.
Your people there just do the reporting and show how well the business is doing.
Yep.
Have you seen the business now start to change and see you as a profit center, right? You're now able to give them insights. So kind of two questions in one. Are you seeing you're now being viewed as a profit center by the organization? And then probably question two, have they started to become more annoying in the questions that they're asking you, right? Are they expecting more and more from you now you've proven to be actually, such a key part in saving the business during a hard time?
Yeah, so answer to your first question, yeah, absolutely. It's not just around, as you said, PowerPoints and historical reporting. We are a proper data function now. The recruitment that we're doing, everything and upskilling people. Be it Talend, be it Snowflake, Power BI has been a blessing in disguise for us. It's been absolutely brilliant. We don't have to wait there and in Excel churn reports. Power BI is all automated. And that's all because the data's clean and it's coming into Snowflake so beautifully. And then the second question in terms of, what was it?
So, basically, are your bosses becoming more annoying, right?
Yeah.
I found out, as soon as you start being a clever guy in the room and telling them some information, there's always 50 questions that lead on from there.
So the pipeline is absolutely huge at the moment. We have got a list of, we haven't stopped ingesting new data sources, looking at new ways of presenting data, using existing data to present it in maybe a different way, and a lot of AI and you name it. We've done a lot, and it doesn't stop here. They want to build the function, and they're not going to stop. They're really backing us on this, and Datalytyx have been great, sort of supporting us along the journey. But it's not always been about, oh, we're going to do everything. They're teaching us along the way, which we're keen to learn. So, but yeah, there's a lot there for us to do still. So.
And that leads probably back into data ops, right? Because you're now engaging lots of more data sets. How do you stay sane, right? How is it that the data operation model allows people like Monty to go, right, actually, I can take on more data sets. I can be more bold in what I'm trying to do. How do you support that? Because it must be hard to keep tabs on all the data sets. Is it good data? Is it trusted data? Are we using junk, junk in, junk out?
Yeah, so Talend plays a big sort of part of this. So we are using Talend data stewardship. The data is quite dynamic. So all the different pub chains or pub brands that Stonegate have will do promotions, quite often to obviously encourage more sales. And as a consequence, these things get entered into the EPOS system at pace, and quite often they may miss something like the cost of a sale. So we're using data stewardship to trap those anomalies in the data, and then Monty's team will be able to clean that data on the fly before it ends up in the reporting layer. Yeah. So we embrace the change. The demand from Stonegate on us is quite high. They've got a lot of. They also were going through a digital transformation process in terms of data coming from their app, from their booking system, online booking system, and I think the latest one is the reputation.
Yep.
Where people can give them a thumbs up feedback loop. So yeah, so it's they're becoming very API driven, which for a pub company is quite impressive. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've all been to pubs where you're not allowed to order, go up to the bar and order. My pub's got rid of the bar in totally, in fact, and you've got to use apps. So suddenly now you're not just a finance team, you're not just a data team, but now you're a digital team as well. And you've probably got marketing, all these other guys going, well, how many people like us? So again, are you finding the people that you're interacting with inside the company different? It's not just the finance and the board. You've got marketing, you've got sales, you've got probably the ops guys.
So historically, we are an FP&A team, so financial planning and analysis. So we have always had the relationships with the different departments, but I think it's beefed up recently. So as you said, like before, we would do very little reporting on how through the app and how much reporting's going through it. But at speed, we had to, you could only order through an app. So that project is so important to us, and at speed, being able to ingest and report is a big requirement for us, and we're delivering that, hence why the senior management are backing us on this, really. So, yeah.
And so have you also seen your role change? Because when I speak to a lot of CDOs, and Paul, I'll come on to you if you get the same feedback from the people you engage with, you've got other customers, obviously. They're saying their role is changing, right? And you're becoming kind of that person. You're the conduit to the other parts of the business. No longer are you just the finance guys who sit there, do a P&L and say, hey, we made money. You're now actually conduit between marketing and sales and other people and saying, look, you're asking this question. Are you finding that? And are you finding yourself brought in more earlier on in the conversations rather than at the end?
Yeah, 100%. So, through the FP&A team, we are business partners. We'll be talking to operators and they'll have ideas, and, we'll be talking to marketing team around what promotions, menus. So, we're at the front of the business now, and hence why we have to sort of, as well as understand the business, but also understand where the data is and what data is available, and then try and bridge that gap and, report on it. So it's absolutely crucial, and our roles are massively evolving. It's not, we're just putting a few entries into a financial system and there's a profit and loss account. It's a proper analysis and insight is what we're trying to deliver to the business.
And so then, Paul, for you, are you seeing when you're speaking to your other partners and CDOs and CTOs, are you finding that they're saying, yeah, my role's actually changing now? I'm not just a guy in the background making sure simple systems or ERPs are there. I'm actually more front office than I thought I was going to be.
It is definitely changing. The different sectors are moving at different speeds. So we have a few companies in the manufacturing sector. They're quite conservative. They're quite reserved to being as agile as perhaps Stonegate were forced to be. And so we have this saying in Datalytyx, what drove your digital transformation? Was it the CIO or was it COVID? And in their case, clearly COVID was a big one. So it is a mixed bag, but those that are embracing agile processes, they're getting the data much faster, and able to develop more innovative products much faster as well. And those are the companies that we see are going to, get a competitive edge on their, their competitors. So it is a mixed bag, but I think hospitality is one that needs to do a lot of recovery, and so they're willing to embrace this a lot harder than maybe a manufacturing company.
And Monty, have you been able to, you're a finance guy at heart, like me. There must have been an Excel spreadsheet somewhere that you've got buried away that you bring out that says, hey, I've done this amount for the business. So you might not be able to share the number, but are you able to say, actually the return on investment we got from this was, 5, 10 to 1. Actually, we managed to keep this many people employed. Have you been able to quantify the impact that this data operations project has delivered?
Yeah, so, we always had a plan in terms of an ROI, but the key, I think this project has been sort of, it will self-pay back so much quicker than anticipated because of the amount of data we've got to hand, the amount of reporting we've delivered. And, simple stuff like before, we've actually seen benefits in, seeing Snowflake usage. Like, for example, we were operating at a lot of credits per month. We spoke to Datalytics saying this is quite high. How do we make the processes more efficient? We spent a couple of days development, and now we're seeing a Snowflake. We can actually quantify to the business saying even we're ingesting the same amount of data, but it's the way we're sort of transforming it can be more efficient. And obviously we did things at speed during the first phase of the project, but now we're revisiting that, and now we're proving that we can ingest stuff a lot quicker and more efficient. And it doesn't cost as much. So, there's lots of benefits. It's not just from the front-end finance side. It's within the project itself.
I'm going to say, Paul, is there something that you're seeing? Because when we're talking to clients, we've all rushed towards digital transformation, right? I think, is it COVID or CTO or CIO led? A good question to ask people. They rush towards digital transformation, and is this like, well, we've become very good as an industry of getting stuff in the cloud. It might be crap we're putting in the cloud, right? It's data sets we don't understand, we don't know, we haven't cleaned and transformed. It sounds like you've got a bit of a handle on, look, yeah, we're putting a lot of stuff up there, but actually it's good quality stuff we're getting with the dross. Is that where you're seeing a lot of focus now, or do you think people are still behind on that curve? You just want to move stuff into the cloud, you're not actually worrying what it is?
Again, it's very sector specific. So we see insurance and banking have made their move to the cloud, but they're not really getting a lot of value out of it. So they're not really innovating or developing data products in an agile manner. They're still a very waterfall approach. So we're trying to help them embrace DevOps principles into developing data products like software products by taking them down this agile, continuous integration, continuous deployment approach. And we're starting to see some of the banks now actually embrace what we're telling them, and we have a few projects that we hope to start pretty soon with some of our very well-known retail banks. So,
because I've got a theory that the big data lie, as I like to call it, which is we're all promised Blade Runner, I think was last year, was meant to be like we have flying cars and everything. We haven't quite got there. Big data is a lie, right? We got very good at collecting all these data points. The amount of information we give away on ourselves is huge. Actually, what are we doing with that data? Again, it sounds like to me saying the retail industry, the banking retail industry, got very good at storing it. They're not utilising anything from it. To try and bring it back to you, Mike, what do you think was the greatest insight the organisation or you got from the project that you did that you weren't expecting?
I mean, I think for us, probably the Power BI and the need and the want for people to, I think again, going back to the finance function and using Microsoft Excel, we were fed up of doing the same old stuff, data cleansing within Excel and then creating reports. It's where we wasted majority of our time. So, the biggest learning for us, we've managed to come away from that because we've automated a lot of it, and now we're focusing on, we've got that time to go and look at the data and look at problems and say, actually, we can make more money here in this pub, or we can do this campaign with, this marketing team, for example. So it's freeing up the time, and that's what we always wanted, but we've actually seen it in reality because it was a big dream way back in 2019 now. So yeah, we've actually seeing that. We've got, as I said, sort of 40% data team now. BI analysts, data engineers. So the function, the role is just fully evolving, and it's really, that's the biggest thing we can take away.
So then, what's next for you two guys together then? So have you got your next project? Have you got your next milestone in mind? Are you sitting there going, right, we've done this, right, let's go for broke? What are you planning?
Yeah, so there's new data sources. So as I say, there's more API development coming our way. We've done an optimization on the consumption in Snowflake, so that we've actually managed to reduce the consumption on Snowflake, I think, by about 40%.
Yep.
All right. And so it's really just helping, Stonegate recover from this 7 months worth of no income, and helping them just get much more automated. So there's probably at least 2 years of API development that we're going to be consuming, using Talend and getting that data into the data sets. And and we kind of quite culturally committed to Stonegate. So my parents ran pubs, for a long time, but I have 3 of their brands in where I live in Brentwood in Essex. And on the 7th of July, on the opening last year, I made sure that me and my friends did a big pub crawl across their brand, right, just to give them a bit of a boost. So,
so what you're saying is you support them because you drink a lot of alcohol.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, have you got your own little personal goal from out of this, Monty? Are you thinking,
absolutely.
right, this is where I want to get to?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we want to mature as a data function within the team. So, we want to get a bit more data governance in. At the moment, we do make changes on the fly. We need to get a bit more stricter and control data better. But, it's reaching out to more functions. Where we've become 40% of a data function, creating them individuals in the marketing team. So, you know, they can, because they've got people that have got the appetite and want the data, but it's just having the tools and, you know, and everything we've created, the foundations, we want to like sort of blow into the rest of Stonegate now, really. So there's a lot to do there, and, you know, there's more data sets. You know, as I said, there's a massive merger between Stonegate and Enterprise Inns. There's more data sets, there's a lot more to do, and, you know, we've got a clear strategy of where we want to get to now. So
there's two interesting things from that. So one, I think, a 30 to 40% reduction on consumption on Snowflake and making sure that you're not, you know, over suddenly spending, going over your commitments. I think that's a great, fantastic result, right? I think a lot of organisations I speak to, they find that suddenly that consumption's gone massively up and getting hit with a lot of costs they weren't expecting, especially in COVID time. But, you know, also, plus again, maybe you might have spoken to Paul about this and got some advice. You're a finance guy who's now hiring data scientists, right? You know, and you're trying to become, you know, democratize data more. How do you deal with that? Because, I mean, I'm a finance guy who's gone into data, and I'm all the time learning. So how have you found that difference, and how has Datalytyx probably helped you a bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, you know, I'm used to sort of profit and loss accounts, looking at data differently in terms of just trends and year-on-year analysis and all that sort of stuff. But now it's literally getting into the detail, you know, and, you know, where Datalytyx are massively helping. You know, we have regular meetings with the guys where they show us Snowflake, how it works. I think I've become quite a good user on Snowflake now, and then the same with Talend. You know, we want to go and do our own ingestion. So you know, we've got Talend Academy, which is on board, and we're trying to upskill some of the team members who have, you know, written sort of Microsoft Excel macros to automate stuff, and they're now sort of learning Talend Academy. So it's difficult, and it's a transition away. But, you know, if you enjoy it, you know, you'll sort of back that transition. So.
And Paul, maybe the same question for you. How have you seen that change from, you know, Stonegate's side?
Yeah, so the next phase of Stonegate's data evolution is for us to help them build areas where they can go and prototype data models. All right, so we're looking at getting an agile way of doing that, using some of the tools in our own ecosystem, and then we'll look to, when they find the right models, get them operationalized using Talend. So.
All right, I've been given the 5-minute, probably 4-minute warning now, so I don't know if anyone got any questions out in the crowd for Paul or Monty, or I'll finish up with a couple more questions. I'll give you my mic.
Yeah, thanks, Monty. Just one for you. What would you say has surprised your management at the company most in this? What's been most surprising for your management? You said you've learnt a lot, but what about the rest of the people in the company at a senior level?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, they're backing. So the biggest learnings is, you know, at speed, we've been able to give them what they want to know. So, you know, a prime example is, we would look at year-on-year reporting, and we had to adapt quickly and say to them, now you have to look at profit by day, you know, within the hours that you're trading, how much money are you actually making? And, you know, they've had to change their mindset of the way they sort of ask the questions, how you know, and the key for them was we were able to react and give them what they needed. There wasn't a stage, oh, we need 6 weeks of development time to go and get you what you need. We were managed to be agile enough, and that's you know, is a change of thought process for them as well as us, but we managed to react quickly for them. That was the key.
So what was taking you 6-7 weeks is now taking you hours, days to do?
We can do it within a week, I'd say. A couple of days of, you know, prototyping, a day of, you know, UAT, and then into production. So yeah, 3 to 4 days, yeah.
Okay, so that's a huge reduction, right? That's amazing.
Yep.
I mean, it must mean that, by the way, you might want to lie to your bosses, so it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You look like a hero. I always learn that in finance.
We do have to slow them down a little
Yeah.
bit and say, look, you know, this needs a bit more testing, right? But they're very eager to get it into production.
I always double the time, do it in half the time, and you're a hero. Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We're probably out of time. So if you do have any more questions for Datalytyx, Monty might be around a bit longer as well, and obviously my team at Talend are around. We're at stand 149.
419.
419, there you go. It's on the
You don't work in finance.
area of transposition for finance people in the world. See, the accountants got the joke. We're on 419, and it's just outside there. But thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah,
Wish you
thank
good
you.
days. Thank you.
Cheers.